activist Sunday Asuku, the National President, National Association of Polytechnic Students. I want to commend this House for this August meeting. However, I'd like to state the conclusion of the Nigerian students on this fact. You would agree with me that there is no justification for setting the same examination for somebody who is in primary 3 and somebody who is in primary 4. Obviously, you know one will pass and one will fail. It will be honorable for this House to know that we from the polytechnic sector, we wrote the same entry examination with our counterparts in the universities. And on no ground should we be discriminated against. I just want to read out the justification of HND as an equivalent of B.Sc. 1. Same entry requirement, 5 credit pass, including English and mathematics. I'd like to state again that gone are days when we used to write MPCE and UTME differently. Now it has been unified. We call it Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. And that tells you that if you don't pass that, you cannot gain entry into either university or polytechnic. Secondly, same 5 years course duration of study. We did 2 years for HND, 2 years HND, and 1 year compulsory IT. Remember, sideways for 4 months is inclusive. So what knowledge are you talking about that we don't have in the polytechnic sector? Ratio 70 to 30 practical and theory curriculum for HND as against ratio 60 to 40 theory practical curriculum for B.Sc. Same professional and international examinations. You can refer to ICANN. We write the same ICANN examination, and nobody has complained that polytechnic products are found wanting or lagging in these examinations. Same civil service, decorum please. Same civil service promotion examination. Sir, you would agree with me that there have never been any time in this country where they set different examinations for HND holders and B.Sc holders. They write the same promotion examinations even in the civil service. So why discriminating against ourselves? Conclusively, sir, the fact that the purpose of establishing the polytechnic education is to advance technology in Nigeria. At this point in the history of our dear nation, when we are pushing holistically to change our status of being importer, consumer of all commodities, and exporter, producer of less or almost nothing, the polytechnic education should be encouraged with adequate funding right now. The leadership of National Association of Polytechnic Students NAPS strongly supports the abolishment of the discrimination against HND certificates and as well call for removal of all barriers and ceilings and denied privilege for HND holders in the country. Also call for equal entry and salary scheme for HND and B.Sc holders. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Coalition of Higher National Diploma HND stakeholders. You're next in 5 minutes. And to re-echo what the chairman has just said, let's keep the applause. Thank you very much.
Me, Sebastian Onyemobi. I am the national president or national coordinator of the coalition of HND stakeholders, made up of different stakeholders that has 1 or 2 things to do with HND. We have trade unions, we have the student bodies, we have the HND holders, the bodies covering them amongst us. So we are here to provide facts to our distinguished senators so that they will conclude the good work that they have started. That is why we have carried out research and come up with a 34-page memorandum, 27 attachments, all containing facts on why this discrimination should be removed. So, however, I've made a summary of that, and we try to look at the origin of the discrimination, which is mere colonial legacy. In 1955, when the colonial administrator set up 2 structures in the public service, one for the whites and the few blacks that were able to train abroad, then the other ones for local Nigerians, and those who were trained in the departmental training schools. And that was the departmental training school that metamorphosed into polytechnic. So when the first university came to Nigeria, it came as a off campus of a university abroad. So it started that from the upper class. So after independence, even when the status of those polytechnics were upgraded, the public service administrators refused to recognize their current status. So that is why the genesis of that discrimination. So you find out that what we are suffering today is colonial legacy, of which some foreign companies in Nigeria still operate here in Nigeria. Nigerians themselves want to operate it on fellow citizens, which is not proper. So my distinguished senator, we don't want to, the forms of discrimination are in public domain, that we don't go beyond level 14. That even if you want to go beyond level 4, no matter how good you are, how competent, you have to be demoted to 2 or 3 grade levels. Even if you are the best, or then in that place also, that you have to go back to the university after spending 5 years in the polytechnic. And so you are not allowed to handle some schedules, even if you are the schedule officer.
Time, sir.
Okay, even if you are the schedule officer, you have to, when it's time for certain programs, maybe traveling abroad, they now look for somebody with B.Sc who has nothing to do, who no experience on the subject, simply because he's B.Sc. So we have looked at that. There are many others which you will see in our presentation. Then we have also looked at the status of HND. HND holders, the entry qualification is OND. OND and 1 year industrial training. OND with 1 year industrial training. Then the qualification for OND is 5 credits. The same with B.Sc and JAMB approved score. These are the qualifications for OND. In the polytechnic, it is 5 years on training, while for B.Sc some are 4 years. So then also in the workplace, we carry out the same work. We have reports of committees commissioned by the public service, Ministry of Establishment, Office of Head of Service, and their report was very monumental. They said in most ministries, in almost all ministries, the work carried out by these two people are the same thing. Even Ministry of Education, in one of his memo, alluded to that fact, that they do the same work. Even that report, that job study carried out by the public service, revealed that in some schedules, most complex assignments are given to HND holders. Then we also...
You have 2 more minutes, please.
Okay,
2 minutes more.
Thank you, sir. We also looked at this bill we are considering today is in tandem with government policies. We have government white paper that outlawed the dichotomy. We have conferences, summit of education convened by Ministry of Education. We also have stakeholders consultation made by at least, thank God, Senator Egwu is still a member of this senator. Under his tenure, he convened a stakeholders summit made up of over 300 stakeholders. In unison, they condemn the discrimination. These are government policies. Also, we also say that this policy is against international conventions. We have outlined them in this presentation. There are international conventions Nigeria have entered into. This discrimination is against them. Then we also say that this discrimination is against extant laws. Number 1 is the Constitution on discrimination, Section 42. Then we also have the Polytechnic Act, which provides that Polytechnic will train middle and high-level manpower, middle level OND, high-level HND. Then we also have Education Minimum Standard Act, which provides that the Polytechnic will train graduates at all professional grades. So when we look at this, in the first instance, it is erroneous now to say that HND is a sub-professional cadre. And also UNESCO and International Labour Organization has defined what is a professional worker and placed HND as a professional worker.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I stand on the existing protocol. Just as it got to our turn, and it is 3 minutes. I don't know how I'm going to manage that. I'm going to summarize. Thank you very much. My name is Comrade Ibe Jinwokoma. I'm the president of National Association of Academic Technologists. I must commend the sponsors of this bill. In the first place, I'm also in the right position to talk about this because I'm on both sides of the divide. I got my HND from one of the best polytechnics, Federal Polytechnic, Elaro, but because of the urge and the tension, I had to go back to the university to get a degree from Federal University of Technology, Owerri. SARS, it is very unfortunate that people who spend the same period of time acquiring degrees, acquiring HND, is subjected to this discrimination. And what is this dichotomy we are talking about? The dichotomy is a rigid presentation of phantom and opposition or irreconcilable difference between HND and B.Sc holders, and subsequently their job performance, enhancement and promotion. This is not only undeserving, it is also the height of injustice which erodes our social fabric of cohesion for national development. The disparities we are talking about, of course, everybody knows, is erroneous perception that B.Sc degree is better than HND degree. Preference for HND for B.Sc holders' employment, especially in the private sector. These are all disparities that we have observed. But as a union, most of our members are in this class, HND, B.Sc. We want to state categorically that in the course of work, that actually there's no difference between what is done by the B.Sc or what is done by the HND. The only thing people talk about is maybe knowledge oriented, but you got to find out that if you have skill, there's no way you also will not have knowledge. There's no skill that you acquire that is not backed up by knowledge. So as a union SARS, we have come to realize that there have been efforts before now to ensure that this discrimination is removed. Some of these efforts can be found, were done by Obasanjo administration, by the Jonathan administration, but it has persisted all this while. But we have also come to discover that it's not just about legislation. While we thank God for the legislation that will soon come, but a situation where JAMB will say that for you to enter into the polytechnics, you need to have 4 credits, must be taken care of. A situation where for you to enter into the polytechnics, your JAMB score must be far lower than that of the universities, should also be taken care of, because these are policies that are not necessary.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes. Let's hear from their view on this dichotomy.
The Chairman Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TETFUND, other distinguished members of the committee, other stakeholders. I'm here to represent the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation and also to present our views on the matter. We've been receiving series of petitions, appeals on this dichotomy. But it would be good for us to make the position of the National Council on Establishment very clear on the matter. As you are aware, the National Council on Establishment was established in 1957, and the essence of that Council on Establishment is to avoid disparity between federal and state governments with respect to conditions of work of all officers in the public service. But for us to look at this dichotomy well, it would be good for us to state the facts of the case. One, we need to know that for us to place officers in different cadres is dependent on, 1, qualification of the officer, 2, years spent in the university, the kind of discipline the person is on, and again, entry qualification to those disciplines. The last speaker had alluded to the fact that for HND holders at the national diploma level, they enter the institution with credits, 4 credits, as against, hold on, can I finish?
Please remain silent. Remain
At
silent,
least
please.
when I went to school, it used to be 4 credits. But now it's 5 credits. Hold on. I said I'm stating the facts of the case. Can you allow me? The second thing is that also in the universities, you have people that have different kind of course curriculum as different from what you have in the universities. Of course, the head of service has been inundated with a lot of memos, appeals, and petitions. And I might also remind us that we had commissions set up by the federal government, which is the Longe Commission of 1990. We also had the Shonekon Commission or Committee of 2006. Based on all these things, there was a white paper released. And the head of the civil service in 2014, April 2014, had a meeting with all stakeholders. And based on that, a memo was presented by the Ministry of Education, the National Council on Establishments, at its 39th meeting in Mina, Niger State. Certain resolutions were taken. One, disparity between degree holders and HND on placement at entry point was removed. So HNDs have the same placement at grade level 08, just like the degree holders. But for the HND person to move above grade level 14, the resolution also stated that one, they need to do a bridging program, which is PGD, and a master's for them to be converted for them to reach grade level 15. I said I'm stating the facts of the case.
Excuse me, please. This is
thing-
not fair. You are giving your due chance to speak, and you have to wait for him. He has every right to present the perspective of the ministry. After all, if you don't get their support, you might end up not. They can decide to petition it. So let's see how we are going to allow him to make his case, please. Nobody should interrupt him again.
The second thing is we have what we call the schemes of service. These are statutory documents for conditions of service in the public sector. These documents are there, and for you to move from one level to the other, what we call conversion from one particular cadre to the other, they call it conversion. You need to do a conversion. And that conversion stipulates for HND holders, you need to do the bridging program, which is the PGD, and the masters for you to move on. That is what is obtainable now. Again, I also want us to understand the fact that this issue of dichotomy has been severally discussed with Federal Ministry of Education. And the last council decision on it was that Ministry of Education, National Board of Technical Education, and National University Commission should all come together with a view to reviewing the curriculum of HND holders to make it the same with bachelor's degree, or what they call the B.Tech. And this was taken as far back as 2018, and we are still awaiting that. The Office of the Head of Service is just the chairman of the National Council on Establishments, made up of head of service of the Federation and other states in the country. So for us to realistically address this position, we need to go back and ensure that the right things are done. One, ensure that the appropriate resolutions of the National Council on Establishment is obtained on the matter. And secondly, NUC, NBTE should come together and develop a curriculum that will be up to date and the same instead of reinventing the wheel. I thank you very much, sir.
Any